success is remaining one step ahead of the person that you were yesterday.
Hey guys, it's going to be a good day today. I'm bringing you Jason Moore. Jason Moore is your all-around coach, counselor, motivational guy. But man, he's also got some cool talents, from magician to flaming bagpipe artist. It's just going to be a fun, great conversation about how to be mindful, get out of your way, and go big as hell. All right, guys, I'm stoked today. We're going to go all the way across the damn oceans and bring a guy to you today. We're bringing you Jason Moore. I'm going to read you 2 seconds of his bio, then I'll kick it over to him. We'll see where this goes. So Jason has had a passion for helping people his whole life. He is a master's qualified counselor, psychotherapist, and coach. His practice focuses on proven mindfulness-based, person-centered approach, often incorporating holy cow, Jason, acceptance, commitment, therapy techniques into his work. With a vast knowledge-based range of therapeutic techniques, Jason offers therapy for a range of struggles, including depression, anxiety, stress, management, blah, blah, blah. Holy shit, Jason, that is a lot of stuff. You just fix people.
Essentially, yeah. In a nutshell, I just do what I can to help people get unstuck.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's the easiest definition.
That's good stuff, man. Thanks for being on the show.
It's awesome to be here.
Yeah. So tell me your story. Tell me your journey. How did you get here? How did you become a coach? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, well, look, right down at the beginning, like in primary school, high school, I was always the kind of person that I had everyone coming up to me just to talk to. I had even the teachers coming up to me, chatting to me about all sorts. That led to me starting university, and I actually started off in psychology. So I did my Bachelor of Psychology. I really enjoyed the scientific side of things, so learning about why people do things, and it's quite interesting. But then when it came to doing clinical psych, that didn't agree with me as much, because how medically based it is, I saw it as a bit too black and white for my personal practice.
Right.
And then, I found this master's course at Adelaide Uni in counselling and psychotherapy, did a bit of research on it, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's me. That's absolutely what I'm into. So it's a lot more, so it's a lot more person-centered. So really helping that individual, working on their strengths, their values, and developing those to help people. And pretty much what we were learning, I was just like, this is stuff I've been doing my whole life. This is absolutely fantastic.
Right. So all this stuff just pretty much came natural to you. And now you get to put the degree behind it.
Yeah,
nice.
That's it. Yeah.
That's killer. So what type of people are you working with? Is it like the completely jacked up, messed up folks? No, I shouldn't say that. Right. Or is it, the people that are just stuck? They know there's that move they want to make. They know there should be something more in life, and they don't know how to pivot and maneuver. Who are you working with?
Yeah, so I'm working, I've worked with people with depression, addiction, things like that. A lot of relationship type issues as well, stress management. They're probably my main areas of expertise. If people do have those major psychological things that they need to work with, I usually have to refer them on to a psychiatrist or a psychologist for that, because they can do the more medical testing, whereas as a counsellor and psychotherapist, we're not approved to test them and analyze them.
Go through all that. So, in your office, do you have the whole couch that people lay on? And,
Yeah. Where I'm practicing at the moment, I've actually got a massage table. So, I don't do massaging.
Well, wait. I can get coaching and massage at the same time, dude. I'm in.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That's what I've got that no one else has. There you go.
That's definitely
Am I qualified as a masseuse? Probably not, but...
I'm not sure that's the greatest pickup line either. Hey, girl at the bar, want a massage, and by the way, I'll fix you at the same time,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tell me your deep, dark secrets, and it's 2 for 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went through all your schooling, you went through college, everything else, picked up a degree. All this kind of stuff just kind of came natural to you, man. What's been some of the fun things you've learned on this journey? I always believe everybody's on some sort of journey. What's some of the fun things you've learned along this ride that have just helped you further your vision and dreams?
Yeah, well, look, I started studying what I'm studying with not really knowing where I wanted to go. Originally, I wanted to do forensic psychology.
Oh,
so
wow.
originally, I wanted to be working with the people you were talking about before, the real, But then this kind of path kind of chose me. It's the easiest way to say it. Yeah, what I found probably most beneficial through the course is a lot of self-discovery and self-growth. And that's something you can't learn that in a textbook.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You start coaching people, how much you start learning more about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, it's wild. I tell people all the time that when you coach, most times you're coaching other people the shit you need to be hearing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like when you're doing your master's in psychotherapy, they do encourage you to go see a counselor as well, which is so you're on the receiving end as well.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, what was probably most beneficial is pretty much everything I was learning through the course, I got to practice on myself. And we got to practice with the fellow students, because when you get accepted into the course, they do say, look, are you willing to bring forward like real things to work on, because we need like real stuff to practice with. It's no good like making up fake stories to work on and then
I don't know, man. Some fake stories could be really fun, you know. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. But that way, like, you get a bit of emotion behind it. So obviously, we were encouraged to bring things that we were comfortable sharing. But yeah, the self growth and self discovery through that journey was absolute mind blowing.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, just having the opportunity to share it. Yeah.
Every great coach has a coach that they work with, you know, so if I believe that if a person doesn't have a coach, then why the hell are they coaching other people? Because I don't believe in coaching, you know. So it's interesting that you got to go through the process of working through whatever shit you're dealing with, you know, good, bad, and ugly, to learn how to help people through their journey and trials. That's badass, actually.
One of the most moving subjects that I was practicing was actually when we started to learn the mindfulness-based approaches, and that's when I fell in love and went, yeah, that's my go-to. That's going to be my area of expertise.
Oh, well, walk us through. What's mindfulness-based?
So mindfulness is essentially learning to bring more awareness and acceptance to your thoughts. So it works on the principle of seeing your thoughts and emotions as just that. They're just a thought or an emotion, and kind of diffusing them in a way and seeing them as external to yourself. So then they're easier to work through.
Yeah, 100%. So what I tell people is, you know, I'm huge on journaling. You know, I tell everybody, if you're going to find success, you've got to be journaling, right?
I've actually just been journaling while I was waiting for the podcast. So yes.
Oh, good. I made you so nervous you had to write out. You're like, shit, I'm scared.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, but I tell people that if you don't get the thoughts out of your head, then they start becoming the stories you start living.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, because I don't know, it depends on what study you read. Says, you know, 80 to 90% of the thoughts that run through your head at any given time are negative, right? And if you don't figure out how to move them out of your head, man, you think about some dark shit if you actually start, you know, going inside your own brain housing group to
You know. Yeah, it does have a snowballing effect.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
So how do you work through with somebody to get out of their own way, if you will, with mindfulness?
So a lot of it is, as I mentioned, is seeing the emotion as separate to you. And this really works. There's a lot of different therapeutic approaches that use that approach. Like narrative therapy, for instance, is another approach where you ask people to see the negative story that they're going through, whatever it be, depression, addiction. They see that as just the addiction. So you're not an addict. But the addiction,
when you say narrative, a little bit. So dive in a little bit with me. So you're saying a narrative. Are you getting them to put whatever they're going through into story format?
Yeah. So in a sense, you're asking them so narrative therapy is again slightly different to mindfulness-based approaches, but still a mindfulness-based practice. It's getting them to look for an alternative story. So, okay, if the addiction is the current narrative, what's alternative to it? And has there been a time when you've done that? And what was different back then? So it's about really going in depth and really trying to find that alternative story that is the story that they would rather be on.
So almost like reprogramming the thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's essentially rewriting their story to be what they want it to be.
Yeah, so and I can't say I've done a lot of study on this, but I do know that the ruts in your brain, the little crevices and creases and all that, those are all formed on memories and stories, this, that, and the other. And that's where the phrase, getting stuck in a rut comes from, because you've, built one of those paths in your brain based on telling your stories. And that's what psychologists and everything else can say. And I'm probably using the wrong word when I say psychologist, but whatever, the doctors and everything are saying that you can actually rewrite that rut and reframe the story. That's what you're talking about, though, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. To other aspects, which is more my field of expertise, which is the mindfulness-based stuff. So visualization, guided imagery, really working on getting people to visualize their ideal self. And that's so powerful. The power of meditation and mindfulness practices in that sense, pretty much if you can visualize it, you can make it happen. It's so fantastic.
Well, there's two sides to that, because I've got a buddy that I get in these huge conversations about visualization and the thoughts, and if you can think, you can do it. And his response to me is always, he's like, "Look, I'm 6'6", 350 pounds. I don't care how many times I visualize it. I'm never going to be a jockey."
You're right. There is biological things that, I can visualize all I want, but I'm never going to grow wings and be able to fly.
Yeah, 100%. So, and it's always a great comeback. And of course, we're usually having a couple cocktails when we have that conversation, so it makes it a lot more fun. So, how do you get somebody to start visualizing that different life, or that different life, but that different story, if you will? How do you get them to go through that process? Is it guided? Is it, they're self-visualizing? What is it?
Yeah. So a lot of it depends on the individual. So if you've got someone that's never done any form of meditation or never heard of mindfulness before, by the time you get to the visualization elements of the therapeutic process, you usually have to work up to that. So you need to get them involved with some basic breathing techniques, basic meditation, just to get used to being in their own thought process, and then you work your way up to the more in-depth visualization.
And what would be more in-depth than visualization? I mean, beyond.
Yeah, so that would be, like you said, it's guided. A basic example, okay, I want to wake up earlier in the morning and be more energized. Okay, let's work through that. What would that look like? Okay, shut your eyes for me. Imagine yourself. Okay, what's your first step? What's the first thing you want to do? Oh, take a few big, deep breaths. Okay, imagine yourself in the bed. What's it feel like? Take a few deep breaths. So really visualize it in as clear detail as possible, and you really work with them to really build that image in their head. And it's almost a form of self-hypnosis in a sense. It's weird because they encouraged us to try it on ourselves, and that was, I'm talking from experience because that was my personal one.
Right.
I was a stereotypical uni student. I was sleeping until bloody 11 o'clock if I could. So that was my personal process. And lo and behold, the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly how I imagined feeling. What is this? This is unnatural. It's uncanny. So a lot of it is guided, and you do have to collect a lot of data because slight little things can actually stuff up the visualization. Like when we were practicing it, the person I was practicing with, I said something like, oh, imagine you're getting out of your bed, you put your feet down and you feel your cup underneath you. You got out of his visualization, he got out of his process for a moment, went, oh, sorry, that doesn't really work for my room because I've got wooden floorboards. Okay, so it's silly. It's funny, little things like that can throw people. So you do need to do a bit of groundwork before you go into a good visualization
Right.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how do you deal with people that look at meditation and visualization, all that stuff is mumbo jumbo? I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Like, I personally didn't think two things of it. I didn't believe in it. It wasn't until we started practicing it that I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. Like, how come I've not been doing this? Yeah, but definitely it's not for everyone. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that I've had through my practice that will think, oh, look, can we give this a go? We're going to go through just a mindfulness exercise here. And then, I encourage them. If it is uncomfortable, they don't enjoy it. There are other approaches that I can use with them that are a bit more straight to the point.
And what would those be? I mean, what are some of the other approaches?
Yeah, so cognitive behavior therapy, things like that, where you're actually challenging their thought process. So looking at the evidence behind what their thoughts are, whether there's evidence to support it, evidence that doesn't support it. So it's a bit more directive rather than working through the emotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So it's like how I coach. I'm like, pull your head out of your
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's that's what I try to explain to people like that come to me, like, and whether they want to work with me as a coach or whether they want to work with me as a therapist. It's, as a coach, I can be a bit more directive. I can like give you the process of like, this is how you set a decent goal. This is how you get out of that rut. Whereas as a therapist, it's more kind of guided and let me help you work your way through that in a bit more gentler way.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever be confused as a therapist.
Yeah.
I come across a little bit more blunt than that, but that's awesome. So on this journey, how long you been doing all this?
So I've been in my private practice for actually quite new, like professionally over only about 4 or 5 months.
Oh, awesome.
But I've done, 5 years at university, and during that there was placements as well. So I got to work with clients then. I've had a few kind of clients, but they're not officially paying clients, but I was working with people as coach, like giving them advice and guidance before I even knew it was actually coaching.
No,
and then it was after a while, they're like, geez, like you should start doing that for a profession. Like, you've really helped me.
That's when you look right back at them and go, okay, well, there's a retro pay, so you owe me for all this.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'll invoice you later. It's
right.
Yeah.